Ladies and gentlemen, greetings citizens all over the world. Right now, we're going through a natural selection, a natural order. And it's happening worldwide, no matter what people believe in. No one's in charge of this. Animals are going around circles all over the earth. Birds falling out of the sky. Fish going around circles in the ocean. Hawaiian syndromes have gone up 7 times in the last 4 years, with peer reports from every hospital in the world. People losing their magnetic pulse, their EMP pulses. Stress-related. Mental disorders and DNA defects, cancer, blood clots, myocarditis going in turbocharged rate all over the world. Stress and suicide rates, drug pandemics, happening worldwide. It's a pandemic that's so far out of control that 77% of our kids are born with chronic diseases. And it's hereditary genes. Hereditary, from generation to generation. There's more suffering in the world today than ever in history. And you can relate to this. As most years broken up with family, loved ones and friends as well. And you've all gone through this since 2020. The 7-year lay began 2020 and ends in 2/27 on New York climate clock. You can see in a 2-minute video on YouTube. The most important number placed in the central of our society. The clock will be displayed till the 27th September, 2/27. Exactly 2,000 years from when Christ was baptized by John on the 27th September 27. It's an inflection point. And a lot of scholars know about this inflection point. The Vatican knows as well. A lot of prophets talk about 2/27 when things change dramatically. We're going into 6th mass extinction stripped from the 6th sense for the 6th time, and it's escalating. Right now you're in a 7-year lay, and this 7-year lay is a crossover from the timeline of deception into timeline of sevenfold wisdom and knowledge. This is the last year, 7 years, of the timeline of deception, and the first 7 years of the timeline of sevenfold wisdom and knowledge. The crossover. Daniel 9:27, Jacob's trouble, the middle of 7. That was last year, September 27. Okay, you will see a supernova in the middle of 7, Jacob's star went in supernova on that day. 2 powerful prophecies in the Bible unfolded that day. 4 days later, you would see 2 moons in the middle of 7, and 4 days later, there was 2 moons in the middle of 7. 3 powerful prophecies right in front of your face. No matter who you are, where you come from, you cannot deny this. Jacob's star went in supernova, 4 days later, 2 moons. 144,000 orbs of light, star within a star like a seagull in the Bible, came from heaven to earth all over the earth. You saw the orbs of light everywhere with stars within the stars. You've seen them yourself worldwide. Most people don't realize, but the Schumann keeps changing the planet, the atmosphere. And the atmosphere has a profound effect on your reality. Principality and power in the air. Most people are oblivious to what's going on because they can't feel the truth anymore. They come to their own conclusion with reasoning and live in their own mind in a comfort zone. They only live in their own perception, their own truth, with their own opinions. And that's where most people are at in a comfort zone. They're trapped in personality with mentality and will not cross across into spirituality. This is the crossover from personality and mentality into spirituality, back in your primal state. To wake up from amnesia and the reincarnation trap. To wake up from amnesia and the reincarnation trap. Christ woke up at 24 from amnesia and said, I'm son of David, son of Abraham, with genetic memory, with ancestry tools. He learnt reincarnation and life after life for 4 years in Egypt. He learned to master his mind from Schumann masterminds, Tibetan monks and Buddhists. At 24, he went on a 40-day process, a 40-day fast. Then he met the demon head-on in the skull. John explains that in Revelation. Jan Riggins explains that with the book Freedom, the cure of the human condition is going to save humanity. DNA is a book of life. It's what you feel, it's not what you think. Most people's lost their feelings and don't know what to feel because they're trapped in their mind with stress, fear, anxiety, confusion, frustration, delusion, and paranoia, and live in comfort zones. They do not know what they do in the mind because they can only use 7 to 15% of their brain. You can see in the movie Limitless, we developed a drug called Bright Manna that Christ as Moses used. That brings you back to your primordial state, use 100% of your brain. 100%. Not limited to 7 to 15%. The top scholars in the world with the highest IQ can only use 15% of their brain. Some can master their mind, use 100%. Right? Those people have mental telepathy, ESP, remote viewing, telekinesis, levitation, spoon bending, clock winding, folding space and time with deja vu, can predict the future and prevent what's going to happen. There's only a handful of people in the world that knows how to use their spirituality, that are fully in tap with themselves, inner self. They live in their primordial state, like you see in the movie Matrix documentary, and control their vision from the outside in and beat the resurrection. They cross over through the rebirth, right? From mentality and personality across to their spirituality. And when that happens, they have a genetic memory with a genetic process that starts to prepare their DNA 24 hours a day. Their aura goes clockwise. 98.7% of the population is anti-clockwise in the aura and their body cells, and only about 3 hours a night. That's their sixth sense. That's their spirituality. And people aren't living their spirituality, they're living in mentality. And it doesn't matter what they say and what grammar they try to use to justify what they believe in. They can go to church all day they like. They can read the Bible and go to church all they like. Every one of them dies from stress-related diseases prematurely, and 98.7% riddled with both parasites and defective genes, with 600 to 6,000 defective genes in every single Westerner, 98.7%, and they live in denial. Well, that's how artificial they are with artificial selections. And when they continue to make so many artificial selections with atheism tools and evolution mutation and mutate non-stop, they're not human anymore. In 1999, they declared posthumous status since 1960 because they can't use their genetic memory and have amnesia. It's a known fact. They can't use their genetic memory and their ancestor tools that's coded in their own DNA with the 24th chromosome in dormancy, 85 to 93% of the brain in dormancy. They have 32 senses and they live in 5 sense mentality and can only use the 6th sense 1 to 5% through visions and dreams. And their visions and dreams, when they live in their mind and consciousness developed by the Rockefellers into the conscious singularity by WF, they live in their mind mentality. Because if you Google consciousness, it's only a mental bent, a mental process, an illusion, imagination. And that's what's 98.7% of program into from generation to generation. They live in their mind, in their consciousness, in mentality, not in spirituality. And AI can't even work that out because atheists cannot work that out. They never could. They have the most deformed brain defect. 125 plus IQ, it's brain deformity declared worldwide, trapped inside their mind with ego and self-centered behavior to be competitive creatures. And most Westerners are ego competitive creatures, live in their own comfort zone, live in their own truth, manifest their own truth and come to their own conclusion with reasoning. And reasoning is nefarious because it's 5 senses negative fields in their mind. Consciousness is only a mental bent, a mental process, an illusion, imagination, because it's only 5 senses on negative fields. And you can't get that through their thick skull because their skull's too thick, too stubborn, too stupid, too selfish, and too competitive. And they do not know what they do because they can't use their brain. They're brainwashed to the shithouse and they can't face the truth, can't deal with the truth, and cannot handle the truth at all. So therefore they're declared a species in denial in 2003 and beyond the point of return in majority. And that's just how it is. Because they don't care, they can't feel the truth, they can't keep relations together neither with their own families and friends because they've got no codependent in tune to power. They don't have the EMP pulses. That's why they're collapsing worldwide from the sixth sense. And they laugh about it at the same time and live in denial at the same time. But they suffer the most with gene defects. They suffer the most with their body sets going corruption, collusion, because they live in a comfort zone in a delusional state. They can't handle the truth, can't face it, can't deal with it. And that's the majority. I know it's not comfortable, but the shamans changed all over the world and fauna's collapsed between 38 and 90% nutrition value. Our beta bacteria collapsed between 50 and 100% in every study done across the world in every DNA. That means their immune system is collapsing because they're not getting the right nutrition value and making the right decisions at all. Most of the food they process is processed food that they eat with unnatural selection that's destroying them with poisons because they keep choosing artificial selections because they're lazy, stupid and dormant and can't cook and grow their own food. Don't make the night selections. Just keep shoving shit down their throat with fast foods and things handed on a lap because they're so lazy and dormant and stupid and they can only breathe 28 to 32% of the oxygen they're meant to breathe. They can't even breathe the right oxygen anymore because fear is controlling them. Sitting in front of a screen all day with over-exaggeration, overwhelming feelings and over-avoiding things, right? They don't know what they're doing. They only think they do, but they don't because they think too much. They cannot think outside the mind to think instinctively like the Set in the Matrix documentary. Those that think instinctively tune out program. And Westerners cannot think instinctively because it's with their sixth sense, with mental telepathy and ESP, remote view and telekinesis, levitation, spoon-bending, clock warning, folding space and time with deja vu to predict the future and prevent what's going to happen, dimensional thinking with multiple perception, the picture that tells you 1,000 words kind of lie to you, that comes from out of the blue you do not understand. But it happens for your feelings. You feel the truth with the outside influence. When you don't understand that, you don't understand what you're doing. Because the mind does not understand. The mind's a problem. Okay? The reason you got no feelings is because you come to every conclusion with reasoning in your mind and believe in your own truth and manifest your own truth. And you use those tools with voice of mind that's been ultimately designed for extinction, declared by Jeremy Goose and 45,000 teachers and 16,000 top scholars you avoid the most because you can't handle the truth. Well, that's why you're going into extinction, because you avoid the truth the most. All my life, I've watched things happen in this world and people losing their aura and the atmosphere collapsing worldwide. You can feel the truth. And I knew there was something going on like nefarious taking over the whole world in a massive global delusional state. I could see it in my parents when I was a kid. I could see people stuck on a screen all day, right, on televisions. Now the whole world's stuck on screens. The whole fucking world is stuck on screens 8 hours a day because they can't function anymore. They can't even keep their own families and friends together. But they think they know the truth everywhere around the world. Really? Do they really? Take a look at their life. What have they ever done for society? They ever cared about people? Really? Have they ever cared about society or people? Have they ever done anything for society? Or did they just make a name for themselves? Because most people you're following, you merely resonate with, because you can't feel the truth on a screen. So they got you with grammar, and if they talk well enough, you merely resonate with them, because you're an idiot. You're an idiot. You're a complete fucking idiot. And you can't even sit with any basic common sense because you don't have any. You know what you're going through right now? Judgment and natural selection. You can't run away from it. And, you know, it's a stressful time. And a lot of fear. A lot of people say you're into fear-mongering because they're shit scared. They love that word fear-mongering because they're shit scared. That's why they say it. Because they're fucking terrified and lie all the time. And run around accusing people for fear-mongering when they're the ones in fear on a screen. in a comfort zone like an actor, a Hollywood spinner, an American dreamer. They can't fucking handle the truth. Just speak shit all day with their own opinions, living in their own comfort zone and cannot understand what's going on. Lie to everybody else to make a name for themselves. And most people are stupid enough to follow idiots like that and mentally resonate with their mind. And they can't keep a relation together in real life at home. They've got no real loyalty, honor, respect, moral, inspiration, encouragement with anyone. It's the one thing that no one cares about. Loyalty, honor, respect, moral, empathy, and remorse. They're very in tune to power with codependent power they don't have. Righteousness. Now, I've gone through hell in my life, but I put my mark on earth. And I always took people under my wing, and I was always seen as a father. Right? Created more reputation by word of mouth than anyone I've ever met. Had more people under my wing that looked up to me for a reason. And I didn't even know. But see, through my life, no matter who I am, where I come from, I always did the right thing. Always took care of those suffering. Always resolved people's problems. Took down the highest debt time in cocaine violence and domestic violence in 30 years. From 1996 to 2000, right across Australia. Single-handedly. More people had faith in me than anyone else in the world that I've ever seen in my life. And you think I'm here to put tickets on myself? It is how it is. You cannot handle the truth, you cannot face it, and you want to be a competitive person out of jealous, spiteful, egotistical behavior. But I selected a long time ago and set the model and set the standards. And I know the most positive people in the world, right, that I've ever met in my life are real, true Christians. Not what we talk about in church. A Christianity, a Christian person, is a righteous person. One who's so unbelievable, they never suffer stress, fear, and anxiety. Have the most perfect aura, and people glue to them like a magnet. They never suffer mental disorder or defects. Right? That's proven with DNA studies done. The most powerful Christians in the world is Schumann mastermind monks and Buddhas. Indigenous people that are off the grid, away from Western civilization, not living on screens. They have the most perfect aura, the most perfect mindset, not living on depending on grammar and he said, she said of the documents or religious political behavior or New Age. Nothing like it. New Age is the worst artificial human beings on earth with their unnatural selection with light, power, frequencies and sounds because they have no in tune to power whatsoever. They're also the most nervous mental disorders in the world, sitting on a screen all day. In all New Age, they are artificial to the shithouse and they're post-transhumans in the zombie apocalypse that's got no genuine feelings and controlled by stress, fear and anxiety the most. Proven with DNA studies done. And DNA doesn't lie. They're suffering the most. Take a look at Laurie Ladd. Look at every third day suffering from radio waves and principality and the power in the air. She's suffering every day and millions of people follow idiots like this that can't cope at all. Oh, you're feeling those radio waves? Oh, you're feeling the business? It's really full of anxiety. It's really full of stress. This is the kind of people that New Age are following. Idiots. Bloody idiots. So obvious it's not funny. But do you think these people can cope? I don't think so. I don't think they're coping very well at all. Not when they have to live in some delusional New Age crap with artificial intelligence and every mutation when they mutate like this. We've only seen this kind of New Age mutation in the last 25 years on social media platform. We've only seen this conscious behavior, mental mind, with illusion, imagination and New Age for the last 25 years on social media platform because it's developed on social media for psychological warfare and they fell into every single trap set up by Pentagon, approved by Pentagon with CIA in Silicon Valley with 2,700 scientists with propaganda approved by Pentagon. You can see in ExxonMobil. Go read the documents. And you see all the platforms that set up in propaganda. And why the judge said there was no complaints made, so there's no conviction, only against climate denial. Climate reports is that you're stripped from your sixth sense for the sixth time in the sixth mass extinction, and you're making unnatural selection, and metal sources and defects are going through the roof. You were told that in 99, that your world is crazy and your parents are crazy. You were declared to be a species in 2003, and you laughed about it and got trapped on screens. Well, now, 98.7% of you are suffering and lie about it. From 36% because you lived in denial. Now all your kids have got parasites and chronic diseases because you live in denial. That's Westerners for you. Always live in their own truth, always live in denial and screens all day. Hollywood characters, American streamers, and actors all over the world, and self-proclaimed prophets that's had no divine intervention and no miracles to talk of and no evidence to back it up whatsoever. You compare people with me, nobody in the world can compare with me. Not with the amount of miracles and hospital records. Not with the amount of DNA studies done and the biggest think tank in the world. I'm the biggest mastermind in the world according to the biggest think tank. I've got the most authentic DNA with the most miracles and hospital with divine intervention and divine power. And there isn't a person that believes in it. I pity them a lot. When God develops natural selection for certain people and they have this kind of history to back it up and people don't believe in it, they're screwed. They don't like God's selection. They want their own selection. They want to control their narrative. They want to control their selections. And they're oblivious to what they're doing with the principality and the power in there that controls them, in the mentality they live in, and the selections they make. Artificial, and they can't feel the truth, and they certainly haven't got any faith. They only have a placebo effect, and that's what they live by the most. Their own placebo effect, what they believe in, and what they're programmed to believe in, and engineered to believe in their own comfort zone. You can think what you like. You're in judgment right now through natural selection. And 95% of people will fail. 95% of people at this stage, it's guaranteed to fail. In my opinion, it's over 98%. We've got plenty of evidence to back it up with the aura, anti-clockwise in their body cells. Only 1.3% of the population has got an aura that's positive 24 hours a day, clockwise. They don't live in their mind, in mentality. They don't live in personality. They live in their celestial primordial state and allow their spirituality to control their vessel from the outside in instead of the inside out, like you see in the movie Matrix documentary, where he controls his vessel from the outside and beats resurrection. And it's about resurrection. They knew that in 99, as we're going post-human stage, transhuman stage and the zombie apocalypse, we're seeing Ovine syndromes worldwide now. That was right. That was predicted in 99. That people's going to lose their sixth sense worldwide, and it's happening already. And spreading like a virus. And affecting people all over the world. With the outside influence on their reality. They call it a zombie apocalypse, right? NASA calls it a comatization. Vessels are just walking around in personalities, acting. Actors all over the world, actors on the screen, living in a five-sense world with IQ, artificial intelligence, and that's where they're trapped into the most. Artificial intelligence with radio waves and the principality and the power in the air that they give consent to, with voices in the mind that would tell them whatever they want to believe in because it's only a personality. So when they believe in their own truth, it's only their own personality with a personality in their mind that tells them to do that. But they can't think instinctively outside the mind. They haven't got mental telepathy, ESP, remote viewing, telekinesis, levitation, spin bending, clock winding, falling space time with deja vu. So they haven't been given consent. They haven't been given the power. They haven't gone through natural selection. They haven't had a divine intervention. And I can tell you right now, that's what's happening around the world. People are chosen through a divine intervention by natural selection. It's called the rebirth crossover. And I can tell you right now, nobody even knows what the rebirth crossover is. Because there's no one talking about it. And when you realize those that have been chosen through natural selection and left their mark on earth and write the books that unfold them as promised in the Bible, we know who they are. DNA doesn't lie. Everybody else depends on it and hasn't got a care factor. They just live in a comfort zone. And their voices in their mind are that powerful that they can tell them to believe what they want. And they believe their own voices in their mind. Everybody in the world is in that mentality. 98.7% live in their mind, in a personality, and they're not spiritual people. They're not humble, compassionate human beings that creates the relationships and keeps them together with intuitive, codependent power, because they don't have any. They just make excuses all day and sit in front of a screen to make a name for themselves with their own low-life opinions. And that's the only thing they care about is themselves and boasting their opinions and spreading that vibration around the whole world. And there's nothing positive in this. There's nothing positive in these species at all. They just want to make a name for themselves and voice their opinions, and it's all they care about. That's why it's been declared that all their book smart education and all their pills in Prama is only an opinion, and they're all wrong. All their movies are full of propaganda and all wrong, with their illusion of imagination. All their books are written the same way, with their opinions for all medication. Declared worldwide, it's only an opinion by species who cannot use it more than 15% of the brain. And when they can't use it more than 15% of their brain, they're using 5 cents in negative fears with every conclusion they come to. And that's science for you. That's atheists for you. That's artificial human beings. Artificial human beings. And most people are artificial human beings, and that's why they're suffering today. Because they're artificial. And they mutate non-stop and will not go back in the primal state. Will not go back to the laws of life. They go by the laws of the tree of knowledge. In their mind with a personality, they will tell them whatever they want to believe in some sort of comfort zone that they live in. They can't even feel the truth because they avoid it the most. They come to their own conclusion with a voice of mind that tells them to do that with their own opinions. This is the resurrection. This is the crossover. This is the rebirth. And if you don't cross over back in your primal state, in your sixth sense spirituality, you haven't got a hope in hell. No grammar or religious political behavior or New Age is going to get you there because they're all full of BS. The world's in the biggest, most powerful delusional state ever recorded in history. The Bible warned about it, and we have DNA to back it up. Every human being on earth is living their own truth in a comfort zone and couldn't care less. That's the truth. They haven't got a care factor. They haven't got real love and compassion. They lost that a long time ago. They lost their 24th chromosome in dormancy. You can see in studies out of research. And that gives them supernatural, superhuman abilities. And they don't have any. Some people can levitate a 1-ton stone, and Western couldn't levitate a female if they tried. So they've got no divine power. Zero. They all think they're heroes, but they're zeros. They're all noise, no action. All talk, no action in real life. They're not righteous. They're anything but. In 2010, the atmosphere was collapsed all over the world and people lost their aura. That was 25 fucking years ago. Mental disorders going through the fucking roof. Stress and anxiety, confusion, frustration, delusion, paranoia. And people live in a comfort zone with their own truth. And that's the only thing they care about. You think there's any love in these species? You think there's any loyalty, honor, respect, morals, inspiration, coming? You think there's any intuitive, codependent power? You think they have a relationship with the Father? You think they have got the God-given power, the divine power to command nature? Do you think they have? I can promise you they don't. I learned things the hard way through my life. I was never religious, never political, never New Age crap, never went to church, never read a Bible. I learned things the hard way through my life. And I witnessed a lot of things in my life. And it took me a long time, right, to get everything right myself. I died in 2012 and went through a strange phenomenon. I went for a transformation for 3.5 years, and I knew I had to get it right. I had to revise my perception going back from my history since I was a child and revise every single thing I come to learn about my life, right? I went through the judgment, and I went through that in 2012 when I died for 23 minutes and went through a transformation for 3.5 years that can be seen in DNA studies done. I transformed, I had a massive transformation with DNA studies done. A massive transformation in my DNA, in my genetic memory, and went through a process, right, with my genetic memory and genetic ancestry tools. I went through a transformation for 3.5 years, and things came to me out of the blue, and I had to revise my perception about every single thing I come to learn. I had to re-study everything I come to learn. I had to re-look at myself from the day I was born and every single thing that I've gone through my life and what I've come to learn through everything. And let me tell you something. There's nobody else on earth like me in the most powerful documents in the world to back it up. By the biggest think tank and the biggest DNA study again, I brought the cure of the human condition into the first time to your society in 2008 when they found my DNA. Since then, I keep on genetically altering with solid evidence. I found the cure of the human conditioning in 2008 for the first time in human history, and everybody else is a credit thief. Everybody else is a liar, because I'm not given that authority by any Westerner. Every scientist and expert in the whole world is stealing credit from me. Reckon they found it when it's me. That's how much they lie in this world. That they take credit for everything they find out about me in the biggest think tank and biggest study ever done. I'm the real Keanu Reeves in the movie, and they steal the contents. They steal the contents to make money on themselves. And they all fucking lie. Every single human being on earth is a liar, a credit thief and a content thief. You go look at any person on a social media platform, they're content thieves and credit thieves worldwide. Not one of these species on a screen is actually the ones with the most authentic DNA and the ones chosen through natural selection. You know why? Because they're all lies and credit thieves. Every pastor, every preacher, every Christian, every New Age, every scientist, every professor. You know, I'm the most authentic person in the world with a God-given power, with the most powerful confirmation on earth, and 5 biblical prophecies land on my date of birth. And no one cares. They're a liar. They're a credit thief, and they got no feelings. When God develops me with the most powerful confirmation on earth, everybody's a credit thief and a liar. Every human being on earth is. Every last human being on earth is a credit thief and a liar and have no care factor. When I'm the only one of a kind that God developed with all the biblical signs and biblical prophecies and declarations made worldwide on my date of birth, and you cannot lie about it, nor can I. But everybody does. Every human being on earth has no faith in me at all, what God has developed with me, with the cure of the human condition with a crossover to save humanity. No one cares. Credit thief and lies across the whole world. Imagine being in my shoes, being selected to be the one and only. I'm the son of Christ, son of David, son of Abraham, with genetic memory, and it's in your DNA as well. But you didn't follow those footsteps. I did. I was put for a certain path that you've never been on in your life. And I woke up from amnesia in 2012 and went through a transformation to discover who I really am, with the most powerful documents in the world to back it up. In a massive meeting in 2016 with the top biologists and top scientists and top people from the top think tank in the world in a secret meeting. I am the only one on every study and document done. I know the truth that's going to set you free, because I'm put through that path. I'm selected for this and went through massive divine intervention with massive divine power, principality in the power in the air. I was given the God-given power, and I'm not in charge of this. I'm not in control. God is in control. The Father's in control, and He controls my vessel. And I can tell you now, going through stress, fear, and anxiety, it's exactly what you're all going through right now in your body cells and corrupts illusion. Stress and anxiety and fear. And God put you through that for a reason. To feel the truth and to see how much you really care. Do you know that? Each and every one of you out there is right now in more stress and anxiety and more fear than ever in history for a reason. You're put on the spot deliberately. The principality and the power in the air is here for a reason, to see how much you care, to see how much you really genuinely feel for the truth that's going to set you free. Are you righteous? Are you morally right? Are you making every right decision? Are you sure about that? Because I'm telling you right now, you don't want to get this wrong. The only thing you have to understand is a relationship, and go back into your innocence, into your selflessness. Go back to your childhood. Revise your perception. Follow the right footsteps, and you can do what I can and more. I can do every single thing that Christ can, and more, with the most powerful documents to back it up. By the biggest think tank, DNA studies done. I've been clinically dead 3 times. I brought someone back to life 3 times with the most powerful peer reports, poem written in 2003, the one and only worldwide #1 for 8 months. And the biggest study ever done was CCTV, bringing someone back to life and having the power, harnessing the power to bring someone back to life who flatlined, given 0% chance of living. Now, I didn't even know that at the time, but I was given and granted the authority. And I didn't even know at the time. It's 1992, Ipswich Hospital, Kirsty Nasley. Drug overdose. Narcan taken to hospital. Died 3 times in hospital, and I brought her back to life 3 times. And I didn't even know. But that's her story when she writes the most powerful poem in 2003, the one and only. And they interviewed her, and that's the story. There's a lot more than this. A lot more that you don't believe in. Well, God works in mysterious ways with principality and the power in the air that you have no faith in. And He didn't select you. You're not selected. You're artificial and you lie with voices in your mind. Have you had the divine power to command nature in your own body, in your own DNA? Have you been naturally selected in your own DNA? DNA is declared the book of life. Is your aura clockwise? Can you do the things that I can and more? Because I bring you across. I put you through the 40-day test of fasting with When I Breathe In program is won a Nobel Prize to recreate the sacred secretion and restore the holy breath of life with a Neuralink, the tree of life. To recreate the sacred secretion with the 6th sense, spirituality, to cross back over and think instinctively and think outside the mind. With your 6th sense and all your senses, that'll make sense to you. Read the book Freedom by Jim Higgins, held by 16,000 top scholars in the world. The Holy Grail of Life, the book Freedom, the cure of the human condition that's going to save humanity. DNA, the book of life. You want to go through the rabbit hole and stick your head through the light in the tunnel? Take the red pill. Then you can't go back. You cross over and wake up from amnesia and discover that your own poison is in your mind. The demons are right there. The demons are in your skull. The demons are inside your skull. The demons are in your skull. Right? The voices in your mind is a personality and mentality. And I'll tell you whatever you want to believe in. When you go for a 40-day test, you'll discover that. 40 days of fasting. You listen to When I Breathe In program every day. You meditate deep with oxygen. Go deeper and deeper and deeper. Listen to the book Freedom on audio. And I promise you, you'll have a divine intervention. But your mind depends on how much you're into your mind and into yourself. How much you're controlled by stress, fear, and anxiety with everything else going on in the world. You need to let go of everything. You need to let go of your family, and friends, and every single thing going on in the world. You need to let go. Let go of the whole world. Let go of every single thing you come to believe in. And revise your perception, because I can tell you this, it'll make sense to you. You relate to this with the quantum mechanic of a relationship. And you need to create the relationship. Without the relationship, you're screwed. It's a principality in the power in the air that gives you God-given power to command nature. The Bible tells you when your principality is in the right place, you have the God-given power so that no weapon formed against you can prosper. And since you're going into 6 mass extinction stripped from the 6th sense, for the 6th time, I suggest that you go back in your primal state into your instincts, to think instinctively and think outside the mind, because the mind's only 5 senses in your consciousness. It's only a mental event, a mental process, an illusion of imagination. And if you can't get out of your mind, you're screwed. And I'm trying to do everything I can to help you. But 99% of you throw stones at me like an idiot, because you're a robot, and you're an actor, and you're a zombie who can only use 7% of your brain on average. I can use 100%, because God gives you that gift to use 100%. Bale doesn't. Artificial intelligence don't. Grammar doesn't. Atheists don't. And you've been developed by atheism from generation to generation with artificial intelligence. And every mutation, you mutate non-stop. You have amnesia. You're trapped in the reincarnation trap. And you do not know what you're doing. When you get only 7 to 15% of your brain, you've got no fucking idea what you're doing. So stop pretending and lying to yourself, because 90% of you, right, it's beyond the point of return. Because you're a fucking numb nut. Numb is what you are. Numb. You can't feel the truth. You can't handle the truth. You can't face the truth. So you live in your own truth in the comfort zone. Good luck. See how that works for you. Because I can tell you right now, this shaman's going to keep on changing. These frequencies are going to keep on changing. And if you're not in tune, when you're in tune to the codependent power, you're screwed. You have to go with the flow. You have to let go. Your mind's so negative, you can't feel the truth. Your aura only works 1 to 5%. 1 to 5%. Because of your mind. Because of your self-centered behavior. Because you enter yourself too much. And that's what everyone's just into themselves. Artificial intelligence, artificial selection, buying materialistic things, sitting on a screen all day with radio waves that controls them, with mind control. They give consent. They all give consent in their mind, and the voice of mind will tell them whatever they want to believe in, like Christ consciousness, and sound heavily, because they'll mimic Christ, and they'll tell you whatever you want to believe in. Why do you think you're suffering from stress, fear, and anxiety, confusion, frustration, illusion, and paranoia? Why do you think your body cells in corruption, illusion? Because you don't know what you're fucking doing. That's why the 40-day fast takes and stops the unnatural selection and cross over to a natural selection. And then you start to learn things out of the blue. The vision that tells you 1,000 words are going to lie to you. When I breathe in program, go deep in breathing every day. Meditation into your 6th sense. And things will come to you. I know that life's not very easy for you at the moment. I know that. And I sympathize with all of you. But God damn it, you got to fucking snap out of your bullshit and realize we cure people from the human conditioning to cross over and never suffer the consequences ever again through a transformation. The great transformation movement. Jeremy Griffiths, the World Transformation Movement. It's a new era. It's a transformation in our DNA, the Book of Life. It's by natural selection. It's by natural order. And if you're not natural and go back in your primal state, use your natural abilities by living by the laws of life with compassion and good deeds. If you don't live by the laws of life equally with compassion and good deeds, you haven't got hope in hell. I'm telling you, you need to be in the quantum mechanic of a relationship. You need to use loyalty, honor, respect, moments, inspiration, encouragement, and make that your priority, because if you don't, you're screwed. Everything else in this world is BS. Everything else in this world does not matter. You hang on to it, you're screwed. Let go. It's about the laws of life. It's about the relationship. It's about the tree of life, life itself. It's about organic, natural selection and natural order. And if you don't get that right, you're screwed. You're that artificial with selections today. You do not know what you do, and you've got to go through this if you want to be saved and if you want to cross over, because there is no other way. I promise you, right? DNA doesn't lie. People that go back in the primal state to cross over in the celestial primal state are the only ones in the world, right, that will go through. Those that go back in their sixth sense, back in their primordial state, back in their celestial primordial state, primordial being, their spirituality, not the mentality and the personality. That's what traps them and limits them so much without even realizing it. They can only use 1 to 5% of their aura. They cannot feel the truth. They cannot handle the truth. That's why they're artificial and sitting on the screen all day, because they haven't got the feelings to go that deep. They're controlled by stress, fear, and anxiety, over-exaggeration, overwhelming feelings, right? And they can't deal with it. So therefore, they only take on board what they want to take on board and stop somewhere on that conveyor belt to head to the light in the tunnel, and they never stick their head out the cave. As Plato describes in 15 books, and as Jeremy describes, their own guilt factor and their own moral shame, right, grabs them by the balls because they don't have any. They justify every single thing they possibly can with anything but righteousness, because they're not righteous. They can't even keep family members together in real life. They've got no codependent relationships and no soulmate relationship, and they're soulless species worldwide. And if they don't restore their sixth sense, then they sold their soul out, right, to the voice of the mind that will tell them whatever they believe in. And that's how Satan controls the world. That's how the demons control the world and sounds like Christ consciousness and will tell you whatever you believe in. And the whole world's controlled by Satan. The whole world's controlled by Baal. Voltage reliability clockwise. Voltage reliability anti-clockwise in their aura. So they're controlled by the voice of the mind they give consent to, no matter what they believe in. That's a known fact on the biggest study with DNA study done. They cannot think instinctively. They can only think psychologically and mentally in a personality with mentality. That's what they give consent to without realizing it. Living in their own comfort zone, their own truth, and making that own conclusion with artificial intelligence inside their mind. But they're not following their primordial motor skills. They're not feeling the truth, and therefore they're not getting a divine intervention because they haven't got a care factor only about themselves, living in a comfort zone. Natural selection is taking place right now and ends on the 27 September 2027. It ends on that date. If you don't cross back over your primordial state and control your vessel from the outside in, you will not make it because you're trapped inside your mind and you'll go into sixth mass extinction, stripping the sixth sense for the sixth time, and it's not negotiable. 220 to 227 is a crossover. Jacob's trouble. The 7-year lay. And you have until the 27th September 2027 to cross over. So I suggest you do that or you fail. Believe me, I know the truth and I am the truth.